Look, I want to be very clear. My messaging is not political. I'm not here to tell you whether the president's right or the president's wrong. I'm not here to tell you whether Kavanaugh should be or shouldn't be confirmed. What I am here to do is to help you to be a better leader and help you to drive better relationships. Look, I can't decide for you what politics you want, what America you want, whether you think America's great now or great later. What I can do, though, is share with you how you get the most out of those you lead and those you love. How do you build better relationships so that you can get better results? And that's what I'm sharing. I want to be very clear. There are people who support our president, and good for you. There are people who don't support our president, and good for you also. This is not a place for my politics or my position. This is a place for sharing how to get better results, how to build better relationships. And so I want to be very, very clear that I'm not taking one side or the other, because I don't want you to take one side or the other. I want you to be able to empathetically listen and provide a safe space and place for the people that you lead and love, irrespective of their position. It's our job. It's what we got to do. So thanks a lot for listening, and here's to better results.
Great. So high energy, had me engaged the entire time.
I think what's great about Kevin's message is that, no matter how naturally talented you are, or no matter how great you can be, you can always keep striving for that next level. And even, if you become complacent, you might not even realize you've done it. But Kevin really helps you realize, that there's so much more that you can do. If you take a step back, really reevaluate what you're doing and what you're not doing, you can take it to the next level.
I loved his message about God's gift to you and your gift back. And he's just so down to earth and just a helpful, wonderful man.
Really, I think you can put him in front of anybody, and you're going to be inspired, you're going to be motivated, you're going to want to go out there, and you're going to want to start, reaching for that next level today.
Hey, thanks so much for joining in to the Leadership is Personal podcast, bringing you real-world solutions to real-world challenges in anywhere from 3 to 10-minute increments. Leadership is personal. Here's the better results. There really is nothing good on television now. Well, depending on how you view it. Actually, lessons in leadership, relationship, and respect are abundant if viewed from the right context. Like you, I'm also tired of the lack of leadership and BS that's been clouding our airwaves. But truth be told, there's some salient lessons that can be gained from television of the day. I'll highlight a few, starting with listening. Listening skills are an important part of effective communication. To be clear, hearing is a physical ability, while listening is a skill. Listening skills helps you to make sense of and understand what another person is saying. Actively listening helps to build trust and encourages the speaker to feel valued. Body language speaks volumes too when listening. And clarifying questions helps to ensure you get the message someone is trying to share with you. It also shows respect for the person sharing their thoughts, which is a piece of them. Build better relationships by better listening. A good leader actively listens. With so much going on today, it's easy to be quick in your listening, dismissive even. Slow down and ensure that not only you receive the message, but the other person sharing knows you received the message. I've had to learn this lesson myself. Though I may have gotten it, what was shared, if the other person doesn't recognize I've gotten it, it still seems dismissive. Succinctly, it ain't about you. It's about ensuring that the other person knows that you're listening actively and knows that you've gotten what they've tried to share. Better relationships build better results. You can do this with listening. I mentioned actively listening shows respect. We saw this when Senator Jeff Flake last week listened to Anna Marie in the elevator. Now, he may have hung his head in shame a little bit, but he listened. It may have been difficult for him to hear. He may not have even wanted to hear her message, but he listened. This was in direct contrast to the lack of respect showed by Senator Hatch when those women confronted him very similarly on the elevator. The only listening and acknowledging he showed was to shoo the women and tell them to grow up. I'm sorry, Senator Hatch. Your blatant disrespect and dismissive hand gesturing was precisely what a leader should not do. And my friend, this makes you an ass. Some have lost the notion of civility in today's politics and relationships. As a citizenry, we elect our officials and have inalienable rights to confront them. While screaming and shouting may not be the best route to take, a leader should control his or her emotions and respond with respect. The disrespect shown by Senator Hatch is precisely what women are fighting about: equality, inclusivity. Let me tell you, we don't all get it right. I remember starting a new gig here when I came to town. I came to town and my new boss told me, hey, these guys are coming in at 10 and leaving at 3. And I quote, we need to kick them into gear. Well, I've been in that movie before. And so kicking them into gear meant an early meeting and a late meeting to ensure that they were spending some time around the office, to ensure that we were getting it done, so that I got to get to know the people whose efforts I'd be leading. But the hard part was I said, hey, we're going to start off with a 7:30 meeting. They responded with, how about an 11 o'clock meeting? We settled on 8 o'clock. Now, the one thing, and the reason why I say I got it wrong, the one thing that I didn't take into consideration, that there were some young ladies that were working for me, some women that were working for me, who were parents, who were moms. And the one thing that I didn't take into consideration was what that meant to their morning. There was a lesson for me to be learned around equality and inclusivity. You see, if moms are getting the children dressed in the morning and dads are not, I had the perspective of dad. I offered up a 7:30 in the morning meeting. We set it on an 8 o'clock in the morning meeting without a whole lot of consideration for what that meant for mom that was getting the children ready. So I don't always get it right. No one always gets it right. Now, speaking of controlling our emotions and the BS on TV, let's talk about Judge Kavanaugh. He wasn't in control of his emotions during the investigation hearing. Irrespective of the outcome, we're clear he was not in control of his emotions. When you're in control of your emotions, you often make bad decisions. Let me repeat that. When you're not in control of your emotions, you often make bad decisions. Decisions that later you wish you could take back. His emotional response and consequently disrespect for Amy Klobuchar will haunt him for many days to come. Had he maintained his composure, he may have responded more appropriately and wouldn't have to worry about this moment being played and replayed for the remainder of his career. Mark my words, we will see this moment well into the days and years of his career. When leading, make sure you are always in control of your emotions, thinking before speaking and ensuring you say what you mean. Often when emotionally speaking, we can get words mixed up or speak less than clearly, making it easy for our words to be taken out of context. Control your emotions so you can control your message. When Kavanaugh closes his eyes for the last time as a public figure as he is now, we will surely see this moment of uncontrollable emotion replayed as part of his historical narrative. Whether politics, sports, or anywhere else, people and leaders fare much better when they control their emotions. Simply stated, control your emotions so you can control your message. The last point I'll bring up is empathy. And more than ever, that's what we need right now. Leaders, you're in a place very similar to when Trump won the election. Look, let's face it. Trump's win, along with his presidential antics, has changed this country. Like it or not, he has changed our democracy, if not our humanity. And he'll continue to change one or both. His antics cause people to be enraged, to lose control of their emotions. And on one hand, I understand. For instance, his slogan, "Make America Great Again," just gets under people's skin. To borrow a concept from a friend, it gives those that love him a big old hug while giving the middle finger to those that dislike him at the same time, behind their backs, so that they don't see that happening. The people that love him get the hug. The people that don't get the middle finger. And as the U.S. president to all Americans, historically this hasn't been done. He's changed the playbook. And it seems he's not interested in the art of listening to those that speak a different language, just making those that don't like him emotional. Remember what you can do and can't do. You have to control your emotions. His MAGA approach is based on a 1950s America. Now you, my listeners, are Americans, Africans, Latinos, white, black, straight, gay, male, and female. Unfortunately, the 1950s was great for only a few of you in this country. If you're white, straight, male, you're good. If you're the white female listener that's more than willing to play the role of Mrs. Cleaver, oh, then you're golden too. However, if you don't fall into these two categories, you, my friend, would not fare too well during the great times Trump speaks about. And that is where empathy comes in. When people get incensed by the slogan, it is because of the era it speaks of. One that lacks equality, one that lacks integration, one that was oppressive. Be empathetic to those that have a different view. Put yourself in their shoes and truly try to understand. It'll make you a better listener. It'll make you a better leader. It'll make you a better person. Crowds love what they think is his lack of emotional control and chalk it up to his authenticity. Unfortunately, a large portion of America has become fine with him mocking the disabled and or disrespecting and dissing women. I, on the other hand, find it rather calculating. You see, it emboldens, encourages, and pumps up his supporters while making those that don't support him enraged. Remember that hug and the middle finger? And when you're enraged, you can't control your emotions. You can't be empathic. You can't think. You just do. His Make America Great Again has moved us to the notion that nirvana is somewhere around America of the 1950s. This is not a pleasant vision for all of Americans. And while he may espouse this is not his vision, it is in fact what his followers believe. Listen with an empathetic ear now. 1950s. Black and brown and LGBTQ people are finding it hard to stomach the president because his rhetoric and his antics mock non-white males. Whether how we conduct ourselves outwardly or in execution, again, like it or not, for whatever reason or by whatever means, he's the president. And with that comes the ability to set the tone. And set the tone he's done since day one in office. You may not like it, but 40+% of Americans, of voters, do. And that's what rules the day. Dems hate it. And while I know plenty of Republicans that don't like him, don't like his antics, many love his policies. There's a policy that could benefit urban communities, innovators, and farm communities across the country as well. If forethought and leadership is exercised, advantage can be taken of this small change. It's called opportunity zones. Don't know about them? Maybe we'll have a show on them one day. You'll get to see how $6 trillion in capital gains will be infused into what has long been and historically been underutilized areas. But be careful, lest you wish to get displaced. You'll need to be diligent, thoughtful, and strategic in how those dollars are utilized. Look, as Americans, we can choose to act a fool or take action based on the data. The programmatic changes that have and are occurring, we will have to control our emotions, move along empathetically, strategize, and drive whatever desired reality it is that we want. You know, actually, that's living the American dream. But again, you'll have to listen. You'll have to be empathetic. And you'll have to control your emotions so that you can control your message. Remember, leadership is personal, and better relationships equal better results. Have a great week. If you join us here each and every week, you'll get a tidbit of information and insight that'll help you be the best version of yourself. Come back next week. Be sure to join us on Facebook within the Facebook group. Check us out on Twitter and on Instagram. Kevin D. Wright. Look us up. Check us out. Link to us online. Love to hear from you. Unlike some of the other podcasts, I want to hear directly from you, and I will answer your question. There's no question too tough, so together we can solve it. Stop back and tell a friend. Leadership is personal,
here's the better results.